Welcome back to another episode of Smile Sessions. I'm Christina Perry, and this is the podcast where we discuss ways to live healthier, happier, and more fulfilling lives. Today's episode is a little different because today is launch day. Today, my book, Stop Disappearing: How to Start Choosing Yourself Without Guilt or Fear, is officially out in the world. And honestly, I have so many emotions. Excitement, gratitude, relief, and a little bit of terror. Because writing a book is one thing, letting people read it is another. The truth is, I didn't write this book because I wanted to become an author. I wrote this book because I got tired of repeating the same lessons. I got tired of ending up in situations that looked different on the surface but felt exactly the same underneath. And I started asking myself questions that changed everything. Why do I keep disappearing in my own life? When most people hear the phrase disappearing yourself, they imagine someone quiet, someone shy, someone who doesn't speak up. But that's not what I mean. In fact, many people who disappear themselves are incredibly capable, they're successful, they're dependable, they're the people everyone turns to. They're the problem solvers, the caregivers, the strong ones, the ones who always find a way. That was me. From the outside, everything often looked fine. I had a career, responsibilities, goals, dreams, friends, relationships. Yet underneath all of it was a pattern I couldn't see. I was constantly adjusting myself to fit other people's needs. I was making myself smaller, making excuses for behaviors that hurt me, and giving people the benefit of the doubt over and over again. Waiting for potential to become reality, believing that if I loved harder, tried harder, understood more, or gave just a little bit more of myself, eventually everything would click into place. Maybe you've done that too. Maybe you've convinced yourself that if you're patient enough, loyal enough, forgiving enough, someone will finally give you the love you've been trying so hard to earn. The problem is that healthy love isn't something we're supposed to earn. And yet, so many of us spend years trying. One of the biggest realizations I had was that I wasn't actually choosing people. I was choosing patterns, different faces, different stories, same outcome. Have you had that experience? You tell yourself this relationship is different. The friendship is different. The job is different. And somehow, you end up feeling the same way you've always felt. Unseen, unimportant, anxious, and not enough. Or consistently working for approval. I used to think that meant that I was unlucky. Then I thought maybe I was attracting the wrong people. Eventually, I had to face a harder truth. The common denominator was me. Now, before you misunderstand me, I wasn't causing everything. And if you've experienced unhealthy relationships, this isn't about blaming yourself. This is about understanding yourself, because awareness creates choice, and choice creates freedom. The chapter in my life that really changed things wasn't some dramatic movie moment. There wasn't a lightning bolt. There wasn't a grand awakening. It was simply exhaustion. The kind of exhaustion that comes from carrying emotional weight that was never yours to carry. The kind that comes from overthinking every single conversation, questioning your instincts, trying to fix things that aren't yours to fix, trying to save people who aren't asking to be saved, trying to earn love from people who are incapable of giving it. And one day I realized something. I had become incredibly skilled in understanding everyone else, but I had become disconnected from myself. I knew what everybody else needed. I knew how everyone else felt. I knew how to keep the peace, how to avoid conflict, how to make people comfortable. But I had lost touch with a very simple question. What do I need? And if someone had asked me that years ago, I don't know if I could have answered. Because when you spend enough time focusing on everyone else, your voice becomes difficult to hear. One of the themes throughout the book is something I call the choose me pattern. It's the belief that if we can just be good enough, helpful enough, attractive enough, patient enough, understanding enough, then someone will finally choose us. And here's the irony. The more we chase being chosen, the further we move away from choosing ourselves. That realization hit me hard because I started seeing how many decisions I made from fear instead of from self-worth. Fear of rejection, fear of being alone, fear of disappointing people, fear of conflict, fear of being misunderstood. And fear is a terrible life coach. Fear will convince you to stay when you should leave. Fear will convince you to settle when you deserve more. Fear will convince you to ignore what you already know. What surprised me most during this journey was that healing wasn't about becoming someone new. It was actually about coming home to myself. It wasn't about fixing myself. It wasn't about becoming perfect. It wasn't about having all the answers. It was about remembering who I was before I learned that love had to be earned. Before I learned that my value depended on what I can do for other people. Before I learned that being needed was the same thing as being loved. Because it isn't. Being needed and being loved are not the same thing. And many of us spend years confusing the two. As I wrote this book, I started hearing from women who shared stories that sounded different from mine, but felt remarkably similar. Women who stayed too long. Women who ignored red flags. Women who carried relationships on their backs. Women who lost themselves in caregiving. Women who spent years prioritizing everyone else's happiness while secretly wondering why they felt empty. And that's when I realized this book wasn't just my story. It's our story. It's the story of so many women who have spent years showing up for everyone except themselves. So if you're listening today and you feel stuck in a pattern you can't quite explain, if you keep attracting the same experiences, if you're exhausted from overthinking, if you're tired of questioning your worth, if you're constantly putting yourself last, I want you to know something. You are not broken. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to perform your way into being worthy. You don't need to earn what should be freely given. You simply just need to remember that your needs matter too. Your voice matters. Your intuition matters. Your dreams matter. And your life deserves to include you. That's why I wrote Stop Disappearing. Not because I have everything figured out. Not because I'm standing on a mountaintop handing down wisdom. But because I walked through something. I learned from it, and I wanted to reach back and say, if you're here too, you're not alone. If this episode resonated with you, the ebook is available now. And whether you buy it or not, I hope you take one thing from this conversation. You can love deeply without losing yourself. You can care about people without carrying them. You can be compassionate without self-abandonment. And you can stop waiting for someone else to choose you. Because the moment your life changes is the moment you decide to choose yourself. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting Smile Sessions. Thank you for supporting this book. And thank you for walking this journey with me. Until next time, take care of yourself and remember, the person you've been waiting for to choose you has been you all along. I'm Christina Perry, and this has been another session for your soul.